What about Bible stories? 2 men went up to the temple to pray.
Ooh.
One of them was a Pharisee, the other a tax collector. Ooh, this is going to be interesting. I wonder what's going to happen because the Pharisee's a good guy and the tax collector's a bad guy. Are they going to have a fight? Is there going to be, a bit of a tussle in the temple courts? This is great. And so you're gripped by a story. And so then Jesus tells you what the Pharisee prayed. He stood to the front, lifted his face up toward heaven and said, God, I thank you that I am good and I fast twice a week and I give 1/10 of all I get. And thank you that I'm not like this tax collector over here and other sinners. And he prays this really arrogant prayer. And historical background, you're thinking, hang on a second, fast twice a week? They're required to fast once a year. He's fasting twice a week? Whew, impressive. And he's giving 1/10 of everything he gets? That seems to imply that he doesn't just give 1/10 of what he earns, but when he buys something, he tithes just in case somebody else didn't. He's really going above and beyond. He's better than all the tax collectors and all the sinners, and especially this tax collector. And actually, the people listening to that story would be saying, yep, good guy. Ooh, impressive. And then Jesus talks about the tax collector. Tax collector stood a far distance, a long way off, and he didn't dare to lift his eyes toward heaven, but instead he beat on his chest like a woman at a funeral. He's grieving, and he cries out to God, and he says, God, have mercy on me, the sinner. Literally, the word mercy there is not the normal word for mercy, and this is where your language study or you're looking up text and reading commentaries will help. The word he says there is literally, would you, Lord, make an atoning sacrifice for me? Wow. In the temple courts, pounding on his chest, God, I need you to make an atoning sacrifice for me. As in one of those over there, I need you to do it. I can't do it. And then, so that's the tension created when we're told who they are. The tension increases when we hear their prayers, because actually the Pharisees' prayer is impressive. The tax collector's prayer is kind of heart-wrenching. What's going to happen here? What's going to happen? And then the tension is resolved, kind of, when Jesus says, truly I tell you, this man, the tax collector, and not the other, goes home justified. Whew. They didn't see that coming. I think the people listening would have thought, well, obviously the Pharisee is going to be justified. I wonder if that prayer was good enough from the tax collector. And in fact, Jesus turns the whole thing and says, he is the one that's going to go home with a relationship with God established and made right. He's not. And people would have been stunned. Whoa. And now that's a story in 6 verses, but it's still a story. Plot resolved.